Despite what their moms told them, they just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot and really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Those two unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Tuesday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe. At Cuse Militia on the socials, go there, join the militia. You're going to hear from us. You're going to hear our predictions. We're going to hear your predictions as we head to our preview fan feedback segment for Virginia preview and prediction show. But first, if you haven't heard, the word is it's a blue out this Friday in the Dome. So wear your navy blue, orange gear. Does that make any sense? Navy blue, orange gear? Sure. We all got one or two, right?
You should.
We all got one or two. I prefer the orange, but we all got one or two navy blues.
Look, navy blue shirt with the orange lettering, whether it's blocked or not, you're good.
I got one that's a best dad, and the S is the QSS. And I've got
there you go.
Yeah, I got a couple other ones, but my go-to. So here's the thing. A little sports superstitious in the fact that I'm wary of my gear because it's hard to start the season until I figure out what Syracuse is doing. Then I start I haven't worn a hat or anything. During the game. So for this past game against Purdue, I wore my Tucker T-shirt jersey. And so I've sworn it off because now I'm superstitious about it. So,
yeah. Well,
anyways,
with me, see, I don't really have gear that I wear during the game because I've been watching it at my house, right? But
I still gear
Friday,
up. I'm that nerd.
See, I don't do it as far as game time, but Friday, at work, when everyone's sitting there busting up talking about who's gonna win what, and I'm talking to all the NC State and Duke and North Carolina fans. On Friday, I wear my orange gear, and I've worn a long sleeve orange shirt with a short sleeve navy blue with the orange block letterings underneath, so that when it gets warm, I take that off, and that's what I've worn every Friday so far. So, like you said, I'm kind of weird about that too. So this Friday, I'll be wearing the same thing.
Oh, well, there you go. So I get my Tucker jersey, T-shirt jersey, is it's on hold right now, and I'll get to it. But all of you should, if you're going to the Dome, should be wearing the blue. And I was a little. I think I saw the numbers for the Purdue game. I thought them to be around 38, right? Isn't that what I said? 38, and you're like, oh, it should be at least 40.
Yeah.
It should be at least 40. I'm like, yeah, 38 to 40, but I'm going to shoot for 38.
Yeah, I don't think I put into account the noon game on a Saturday during football, got Pop Warner and all that stuff.
Yeah, I guess that's
and Friday night,
in.
you got the high school games, so, there's always something, right?
Well, those are excuses at the end of the day, in my opinion. So it looked like
excuses for some, reasons for others.
It was around 35. It was around 35. It didn't matter with the amount of noise that was there. But
now, if you get a good 35, then it's going to be loud.
Yes, with that said, think about how much louder 40 would be. And Friday night, I expect to see more Friday night than I did Saturday afternoon. So we'll see.
I could sit here and have the same speech I had last week about how we're 2-0 and Purdue's coming in. Well, now we beat Purdue, so now at this point, again, Syracuse fans, they play a big role, I feel.
12th man.
Getting them through this short week and getting us to, we win this game, we're going 5-0, and we're going into the bye week. So you got to come, man. And Dino alluded to it, too, in his presser. So
starting over every week, right? So
every week, 1-0, and he was talking about how he expected more.
Before we get into that, before we get into my opening for the preview. Coach's presser, just so everybody knows, Isaiah Jones it could be likely out for the year. I don't know what that was, but him holding his shoulder like that, I didn't see a whole lot of contact or anything. Who knows? Not sure. That sucks. Up and coming receiver. Someone Garrett Schrader is mentioned by name as one of his targets. One of his 5 favorite targets that he named in a press conference after the Connecticut game, and someone who is up and coming. And that's going to hurt a little bit, I think. And they always hurt. But, Trevor Pena looks like Coach said he hopes to see him back soon. So
I didn't even know he was going to be out.
Neither did I. So
and then I saw him on the sideline in street clothes. So that was kind of, And as Isaiah Jones, I think what he did was he had a bicep issue.
That's what I was wondering.
That's why
bicep.
That's why he had the band on his arm there, and you saw him holding it. So I mean, if I had to guess,
pulled it.
I mean, he more than pulled it. If he's out for the season, he might have tore it.
I had a guy at work lift a window, and he tore his bicep, and he was out for 2.5 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean,
and PT, the whole thing.
Brutal.
Yeah, and that was without having surgery. So if it was bad enough for Isaiah Jones to get surgery, it's even longer. So you're looking.
Yeah, and I think that's where you're looking at, because there was no contact with the ground. There was nothing like that. I mean, when I looked at it, you're like, what was it? Like a dislocated shoulder or something, right? No, like that. When he said gone for the season, and when I saw that he had the band on his bicep and he was holding it, I'm willing to bet it's a torn bicep.
Yeah, the tape. What's that tape? Because
it's not tape. It's some sort of like.
It's a stretchy tape. Yeah, and you put you put it on in different. You put it. I have some because I have a shoulder issue that's. I think it's bursitis, but I thought at first was a rotator cuff. But yes, it is put on in certain. If this is what it is, it could have been something else. But there is a tape.
I thought it was something else that you had to like a band or like something that you can adjust to tighten it so that you have some stability there.
Well, look, I bought flexible tape that's for that you put on in different designs. Okay, they probably do have something that's adjustable, I'm sure. Yeah, probably more than just that. Anyway, all right, let's start now. Focused on the Cavs. The all-time series between the Cavs and the Orange sits at 2-3 in favor of Virginia. The first time the two teams met was in 1975. Syracuse left Charlottesville with a 37-0 win. The last game in 2015 under Scott Schaefer, Syracuse would lose in Charlottesville 44-38. Eric Dungy, 16 for 22 for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Throwing, he also led rushing with 85 yards and 1 touchdown on 18 carries. So, a good showing, just wasn't enough. Close game, though. Total defense for Syracuse. They are tied for 48th in the country right now. However, 400 whatever yards O'Connell put up knocked us back a little bit. UVA, total defense, 57th, okay? Still behind Syracuse. Total offense for Syracuse is 74th, and UVA is sitting at 72nd. So, now, the difference for the two teams for me, Joe, is the caliber of opponents. Virginia with wins over Richmond and ODU, a loss in a bad one to Illinois, 24-3. Juxtapose this 54 out of 102 for 52.9%, 53% completion rate, and 710 yards for Brennan Armstrong. He hasn't thrown a TD since the first game against Richmond. So he sits right now with 2 TDs and 3 interceptions at the moment. And, I mean, he can run the ball a little bit, but 64 of his 150 on the year did come from one run against, you guessed it, Richmond. Schrader, at this point, 51 assists, 77, 62.2%, 709 yards. 8 TDs, no interceptions, 46 rushes for 201 yards. So just to kind of compare the two, because Brennan Armstrong he is more versatile, and he has been dangerous with the ball. He's proven that he can be on both ends of that. The Cavs fans, they point to their defense as their strength and their O-line and their quarterback on improving since Illinois. But I mean, I don't know. An ugly win at home against ODU and cruising the victory over Richmond isn't exactly selling me on improvement. it's hard to gauge them. And I guess I'm showing my hand a little early, but it's hard for me to gauge them and give them a lot of credit for who they've played. So, Joe, they love this freshman back, Xavier Brown. And after a big game against ODU, the fans and writers alike, they were expecting him to be second on this week's depth chart over Mike Hollins, but he's not there. I'm sure we'll see him, but he's not there listed. He's currently third overall in rushing for the year. Anyway, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not that impressed with even the wins. As Virginia fans point to their defense as their strength, and like I mentioned, they're actually sitting 57th, and they've played Richmond and ODU. Now ODU is pretty decent, but you know, you factor in that early in the year, and you're sitting 57th. It's hard for me to gauge that. So, and we're getting to the point where we're getting to the point where the national rankings are starting to matter a little bit. You know what I mean, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to matter more as we go through it. And when you look at, even like you said, ODU's pretty decent. They beat Virginia Tech, which I don't know how good they are this year, and they lost at ECU and then lost at Virginia. So, I mean, I'm not looking at Old Dominion as world beaters. And when I sat down to try to break this down, you know, I looked at it like you have a situation where, I mean, you have the quarterback coach and you have the offensive coordinator from Virginia last year. They know this guy. They recruited this guy. They know that they know his strengths and weaknesses. They know the offense's strengths and weaknesses, and they probably know a little bit about the defense. Now, you bring in a new coach with Tony Elliott, who was the offensive coordinator from Clemson, who comes in and gets the job, but he doesn't have Clemson's personnel, right? So this is still going to be a work in progress, and I'm not to say that they don't have the players, because they don't have Clemson players. But Bronco Mendenhall, he did recruit better, and Virginia was on a better clip of recruiting better than Syracuse. So he's got some guys. So, you know, it just might take a little while to figure it out. But to your point, beating a D1 AA school, Richmond, 34-17.
I mean, Richmond scored 17 on them.
Right?
Right, yeah, I mean, I get it, yeah.
But it's a D1 AA nonetheless. You know, let's see what we do to our D1 AA. And I'm not to say that Wagner's as good as Richmond, because they're not. But nonetheless, and then, you know, you go to Illinois, so it's an away game.
You get carved up.
Big Ten, right? But, like, Illinois, really, I mean, their defense is pretty good. Lackluster offense is okay. And then Old Dominion, kind of the same thing. So they haven't played against an offense that I think is comparable to what our offense can put and bring to the table. And then realistically, even when you look at the defenses, I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that our defense is at least better than Richmond's and Old Dominion's. And, you know, maybe Illinois' defense is the reason why they're holding on and why they won that game, to hold Virginia to 3 points. But,
dude, a last-second field goal against ODU at home to win.
Yeah, that was at the end, too. They had the rally at the end, and then they had to get a field goal to win in the last couple minutes there. So, yeah, I mean, to your point, this game is definitely tough to figure out. I mean, we opened as, like, I think we're a 10.5 point favorite right now. We're at home. When you look at their team, like, again, Brennan Armstrong is dangerous, and to what, you know, Dino Babers alluded to in his presser was, you know, don't think that, you know, these kids also don't have a chip on their shoulders in Virginia. They know that they're going to be going against their old coaches, and they're going to want to show that, you know, they're okay, that they've gotten better. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe that what you coached me worked, right? I mean, there's certain things there where there's a little bit of a factor where you want to show up. There's an
emotional element there that is
absolutely
works on both sides too.
Absolutely. And again, you know, you look at it in Virginia last year, they were more pass heavy. They were more successful with these offensive coordinators, or our offensive coordinators that were their offensive coordinators last year. But they're running a little bit more this year. You know, they spread it out quite a bit. They have they have 4 people that have at least 17 carries.
Well, they got 3 backs over 100, right?
Well, counting Brennan Armstrong,
that is
yes.
Brennan Armstrong in there.
I mean, Paris Jones looks to be the guy. 37 attempts, 186 yards, 1 touchdown with a long of 17. To your point, Brennan Armstrong, he has had more interceptions than touchdowns. Now, the one thing that we have to look at, and we have to really just, you know, you never know, right? I mean, we had the Damian Alford last year against Virginia Tech because of his size and because of the plays and everything. But, you know, you look at Keaton, Keaton Thompson.
Keaton Thompson.
Keaton Thompson's got 18 catches for 235 yards. Still not a touchdown, but
he's tall too, 6'5".
6'5". He's about around a Gadsden size, so he's got the height, 6'5" or 215-ish, somewhere around there. Lavelle Davis Jr., he's got 8 catches for 203 yards, so he's averaging 25 yards a catch and a touchdown. So he looks like the deep ball guy. That guy's actually 6'7". And then they have Dontavian Wicks, who is got 12 catches for 155 yards, and he's kind of like the slot, kind of quicker guy, speedy guy. So they do have receivers that they can throw to, but again, this offense has seemed to rely more on running the ball. Now maybe that's because of their opponents, to what we spoke about, but yeah.
Well, there has been. Look at that. I mean, you got. There's been fan. Concern about the O-line and Brennan Armstrong. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in their defense, to me, I mean, there is some holes there. They had some
safeties that are injured or coming back or about to come back or, coming out of injury. I read that from them. From Streak in the Lawn is there if you want to go check it out. Streak in the Lawn for SB Nation. That's their noons, if you will. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, there's the teams they've played against haven't scored that much against them, but again, I think that we have a better offense than any of the teams that they've played. So, I would expect to be able to still put up points in the 30s. And yeah, I mean, really, again, it comes down to the defense and how they handle this offense. Even really their kicking game. You look at the guy; he's 5 for 6 from the extra points, and he's 4 for 6 from field goals. So it's not a guarantee for them when they line up to kick a field goal as well. So yeah, Virginia is not looked incredibly impressive this year, and sometimes that happens when you have a coaching change. But they do have talent, and I know Dino Babers in his press conference kind of likened this team to a hungry team, and kind of used the comparison of his first year when he came in and they beat a Virginia Tech that was ranked that they weren't supposed to beat, but they were hungry and they just played a better game. But
the famous
again, I mean,
house.
I think it's just a situation because I mean there's a home and away situation, right? I mean Virginia Tech came to the Dome and they're coming to the Dome on a Friday night, prime time, with all the emotions and everything like that. So not to say it's a guarantee. But I'll tell you what, other than UConn, I'm more confident in this game than I was Louisville and Purdue.
I was pretty confident in Louisville. I was just nervous. I was just nervous because I hadn't seen anything yet. I hadn't seen anything yet. I was just going off of body language and
but even knowing what I know now,
right?
Even knowing what you know now, I mean, I'm still afraid. I'm more afraid of Louisville than this team.
Oh, I would definitely agree with that. Yeah. Was that your point? Was that your point? Did I totally miss your point? I'm sorry.
No, I mean, well, yeah. I mean, I guess it's one of those things where I'm looking at it as like a now versus the beginning of the season, right?
Yeah.
Beginning of the season, I would have probably had Louisville and Virginia a little higher or closer as far as opponents.
Yeah, I think Virginia wasn't picked to be even like middle of the pack by anybody. Now, neither was Syracuse.
No, and I even looked at it like if you're able to beat Louisville, then you're able to beat Virginia.
Yeah, and
then
I said
if you beat Purdue, then you're definitely able to do that. So I mean, it's a short week for both of us.
It is, and I did say on Twitter, I think during the Louisville game, that was Friday. That was actually the last Friday night. I was saying when I was watching that game Friday night that is Syracuse, are they that good to make Louisville look the way they did against Syracuse? Because they played all right. They didn't win the game, but they played really well against Florida State.
Yeah.
So it's a situation where you're like, did Syracuse do that good of a job shutting down Malik Cunningham?
Yeah.
Or did they just all of a sudden come to life when they just had a bad game against Syracuse? I have to believe after the Purdue game, because this was the day before that game that I tweeted that Syracuse is that good and that they just game planned that good for Malik Cunningham and just became a nightmare situation for him with a hungry defense ready to play. And unfortunately, he got some smart coaches that got to prepare for him for weeks before the actual game started. And we knew more about what they were going to do than they knew about what we were going to do. Because we're a whole different team coming into this.
But
year.
Don't you think? Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. But again, a team can change some stuff. You know what I mean? There's little things that they can change.
Yeah.
They have personnel change, so you can't necessarily go by everything last year, right?
No, I think Purdue's better than Louisville.
Oh yeah, but I'm talking about just we had a lot more time to get ready for them. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But when you look at it this week, I mean, does the fact of knowledge between Jason Beck and Robert and I give us kind of that same type of situation? I mean, aren't we going to be getting
that's a
information?
Great point. That's a great point. Yeah, I think so. I think it obviously benefits us more than benefits them. Their players aren't going to be like, well, I know what they're going to do. Now, there is that element. But if you remember, and being a Raiders fan, I hate to even bring this up, but if you remember back in 2003, the Raiders-Bucks Super Bowl, when John Gruden was the coach of Tampa Bay, he practiced at practice as Rich Gannon. He knew what Rich Gannon was going to do and told his team all about it. And what did they do to Rich Gannon? I think he threw 3 picks. It was terrible. He was awful. I think it was like an MVP season for him, and he was terrible. So that's just what a coach can do to you that has recruited you, watched you, and trained you. It's like...
Yeah, and that's at the NFL level, which is even higher, because there's a lot of times where if you're above that, it doesn't really matter, right? So at a college level, again, they're not going to be able to sit there and say what plays they're going to be able to run because you have a whole new coach and offensive coordinator. But what they can do is they can give people tips on this person is really only good at this.
Hey, they're going to struggle when you do this.
Right?
Right, yes, exactly.
Yes, this receiver can't break off a press. This receiver only likes running outside deep routes. This receiver can't do this. This running back can't do this. This offensive lineman can't do that, so we can blitz this way, right? Like,
there's a lot of assets to it.
There's a lot of that there, and it all depends on the knowledge. And I'd like to think that Anai and Jason Beck are pretty particular, aware guys that know what they're going up against. So, I mean, we have that, and that to me is probably even more than being able to, game plan for a team because it's your first matchup, and you have all off season to pretty much get ready for them.
And also to your point, even if you have that situation, obviously that's huge. But look what they did during the Purdue game when the fuck do you got?
Told you. It's pretty damn loud.
When you said, dude, I'm in my garage and you might hear an acorn, I was like, okay, big deal. I didn't realize that it was going to bounce 20 times and travel a mile. So, anyways, those are Joe's acorns. Right? That oak tree would be gone.
You're going to hear
fast.
a lot worse if a cluster falls.
Oh boy! So
it's like a bomb's going off.
What Anai did in the Purdue game to switch tempo and change that game and do what they did there is just that's a whole nother facet. That was my point. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like to change gears like that is one thing against a team that you had a week to prepare for that you don't know that well is juxtaposed to what he could do if he needed to against Virginia if they had really come in there as prepared as they would like to be. I guess that's my point. Anyway.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously teams can get better and there's going to be, injuries and stuff like that. So when, I look at Louisville and I'm kind of happy with their performance after we beat them, because I was worried, are they going to just go out and lay an egg, right? And then all of a sudden, it's no big deal that we beat them 31-7, right? But they came out and they beat Central Florida the next Friday night, and then they came out and they played another Friday night game against Florida State, who, they were right there. They could have won. Florida State beat LSU, so Florida State looks a little bit better than I think what people thought. Their quarterback went down, Jordan Travis, but their backup came in and
he did good.
He rallied and won the game. He did okay.
Yeah.
But what is he going to look like once some teams get some tape and stuff like that? And how long is what's his name? Jordan Travis, something like that. Well, how long is he out for? So there's a lot of things to really look at in the ACC this week, and you got West Virginia and Virginia Tech playing on Thursday. We play on Friday, and then we're going to see a Clemson Wake Forest. We're going to see what they're about. We're going to see North Carolina Notre Dame. So we're going to see what some of these Notre Dame's about. They're not even ranked anymore. And then you have NC State's actually hosting UConn. So we're going to be able to get a little bit of a gauge of, okay, we saw what we did against UConn. Let's see what NC State's going to do at home on a 7:30. So. Being able to look at some of these games and some of these teams, I mean, I've been happy thus far because beating Louisville 31-7 and then seeing how they fought in some of their other games is, like you said, it kind of gives me a little bit more confidence that it wasn't just a fluke. And then obviously the Purdue game, coming out and not playing the best of our ability.
Right.
And still winning and still, keeping your composure unlike them and getting a W. Those are all just positives. So we move forward. We're a 10.5 point favorite. I'm not necessarily saying that we're guaranteed to win by that much. But we shall see.
Okay. With that said, Joe, it's that time of the show where we go over last week's picks and cruise by that, and then get to this week's picks.
I feel like we were both mighty close.
You had 34-24. I had 31-24. So with the so we do a cumulative point total minus the whatever the difference is between our point total and the point total of the game. Closest one wins. Doesn't matter how you get the points. So Joe went 34 on Syracuse. I was off by 1 point on Syracuse and 5 on. So I was off by a total of 6. Joe was off by a total of 2. And 61 was the total. Joe had 58. So, with that said, I had 55. With that said, Joe sits at 2-1. I'm at 1-2. And all of the other participants who... Actually, Dom had 31-27. So, what would that be? It wouldn't have got us there. You just still beat him. So, they...
so, you're saying I beat you?
You did. You did.
How?
You had 34-24.
Did you?
And I had.
Oh, you didn't pick 24?
I had 31-24. You had 34-24. So you had 58. His total was 61. I had 55. So you were closer. See how that works?
Oh, so that's how you're doing it. Okay, got you.
And actually, Dom would have had 59. So you guys would have tied. You had different scores, though. He had 31-27. Okay. With that said, let's get into Virginia. You could either pick first, Joe, or you could defer. You control. What do you want to do?
I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll go first. So, again, we talked about the emotional part of the game. I think that there's going to be some things that happen, short week. I think that we fought hard, got banged up, playing against Purdue. So, and I think Virginia's going to come in and try to prove something. I know it's at 10.5, but, and I know that I said I don't think they're going to cover, but yeah, I think I'm kind of right there around the 10-point mark. I'm actually going to go.
My score is written down, by the way. So
I'm going to go with the same exact score I went last week.
Really? 31-24?
No, 34-24.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 34-24. Okay. And you're picking Cuse, obviously, right?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I'm not super impressed with Virginia at all. That one sounded like a gunshot. It sounded like a 22 going off. I'm just checking to make sure you're there. That's why I lifted my head so fast.
No. I mean, you've been here. That's what that was. That was actually the neighbor.
Oh, okay.
I'm joking.
I am not super sold on Virginia at all. I know they've got a lot on the line coming into this game. It's going to be a lot of emotional feels to it for that team. You know, I just don't see it being like a storybook type of game for UVA or them coming in and beating their old coaches and stuff like that. And here's the other thing. What the hell are you doing, boy? I'm trying to
Sorry, bro. Sorry.
Trying to talk here. I'm not super sold on UVA, but I'm also not going to. This is getting ridiculous. I'm also not going to. I am not gonna waver from Syracuse until Syracuse gives me a reason to waver, and yes, thank you. I have no reason not to go with Syracuse covering the spread until they prove me wrong, make me look stupid. So I'm going 38-17 Syracuse. And that's what I got. So is it way overshooting? It could be. But have they not beat the spread and everything? Like destroyed it the whole year? Why wouldn't they against UVA?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I understand. I'm right there with you. I just feel like a lot of times you can't just look at it like because of this, then this, right?
No, you can't. I didn't do that, did I? I looked at it like that. Okay.
No. You didn't do that. I'm just saying that, like, again, you just were kind of speaking of, like, how it's been going. So, you know, if you look at everything that happened, it should be this. And, like, that's where, you know, Vegas and all those other guys get us. So.
That's true. But,
you know, we're gonna have to see.
Dude, UVA.
Improvement from the offensive line. We're going to have to see improvement from the offensive line in the running game. I mean, they got the tape from the last team, you know. So I'm sure that they're going to try to do something with that. You know, who's going to step up in Isaiah Jones' place? You know, I mean, there's some questions there. And then we really don't know how banged up or, you know, because, again, there might not be injuries, but there could definitely be some owies and some people that have some situations where, you know, it's going to affect how many plays they get in. So you never really know all that stuff. And like I said, Virginia's got some guys.
Yeah,
so
I know
they're
they
probably
got
going to
talent.
get some plays. Brennan Armstrong's probably going to get some, you know, rushes and some scrambles and stuff like that. And, you know, things are going to happen that we're not going to expect. I mean, we don't have anybody that can jump with a 6'7" or a 6'5".
Lavelle Davis is the biggest threat, in my opinion, because he can almost go anywhere, and if the ball's thrown right, there's a pretty damn good chance he's going to catch it. So he's the
right.
it factor for me for UVA. And with Brennan Armstrong being able to do what he's done in the past and what he's proven he's been able to do, that could be a problem. And I'm not saying that UVA is this, that, or the other so much more than I'm saying that Syracuse has absolutely just blown my expectations away. And until I see different, I'm not going to waver.
I mean,
that's just where I stand.
That. And I mean, Virginia's not Purdue, right? So.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
A lot of things, I mean, when you look at it, though, Purdue should have had more points. They shot themselves in the foot. They should have beat us. We got lucky, and like you said, ifs and buts and da-da-da-da-da. But I'll take the 3-0, but I'm not going to sit here and act like we outplayed Purdue. We just won the game.
I know.
And, you know, Virginia is still, you know, an ACC opponent that has good recruits, that recruited well for the past couple of years with the previous coaches, and now they got a guy coming in from Clemson. So they're still just trying to figure it out, and you don't know what game it's going to be when something clicks.
Yep, I agree. Let's go to
And we just gave up 400 yards of passing.
I know, but that's about it.
That's it.
I mean,
they should have scored more points, but
they should have. But I'm saying what I'm saying is there wasn't a whole 60-something rush yards. I mean, Purdue's in the mirror. I'm going to judge things off of that game, but we escaped there. You're absolutely right. We said it on Sunday, and I totally agree. Purdue lost that game for Purdue, and there's no doubt about it. But it doesn't matter at the end of the day. A W is a W. And also, you had Schrader in a situation where they needed a touchdown, and they got one with 7 seconds left. And it was and it was a W. So anyway, all right, let's hear from you now.
It's time to hear from you, the loudmouths from the Loud House.
Oh yeah, that soundbite's paying off. Now I can use it for previews too, because it is time for your predictions. So, with that said, let's start. Man, there's a bunch of them. I'm not going to be able to get through all these because I just confuse myself anyway when I do it. So I'll hit the regulars and I'll hit some other ones that I don't see much. At Joe Catskill, SU32 UVA 21. The Dome will be rocking. Gosh, I hope so. I really do. I really hope that they can get the fans in there and blow that place up with the navy blue and just the sheer volume is what I'm all about. And it was loud against Purdue. I expect it to be loud again. By the way, I haven't not read any of these either yet, so I'm just coming to them now. If not now, when 42-9 Cuse. Okay. Our boy at OL Cuse, Captain Patrick. 41-14 if Tucker, the trucker, and Garrett Schrader are healthy, with Tucker getting 200-plus total yards. You know what? That's something that UVA should be worried about, and that is a rebound game for Tucker. He was not pleased with his overall performance. He was pleased with the outcome. So he was
you don't know
okay
what
with
they're
it.
going to do, right? Because they just watched the Purdue team, who's probably got a better defense than them, do everything in their power to take Sean Tucker out of the game. And, there were some passes there that Garrett Schrader could have completed that would have made that game a little bit better for Sean Tucker because he was open. But they just watched the team do everything they could to stop Tucker to win, and then they still didn't win. So
Yeah, because Tucker, even if he's not racking up the yards, he affects everything.
He still affects everything. He's still a decoy, absolutely. But, they're going to have to look at it and say, look, they did this, and then they still did this. And, if they don't have the same personnel as Purdue, same depth as Purdue, then I don't really see a situation where even if they took a game plan out of Purdue's, playbook and try to stop Sean Tucker, if Sean Tucker needs to be a decoy for however long, then that's what it's got to be for us to be able to win games. So, and that's what he was. But I just can't see a situation where Virginia has the defense to be able to just completely take away Sean Tucker. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and like I said, their fans are big on their D. That's their biggest strength, and their D is like okay.
Well, after the offenses that they played, yeah.
Yeah, that's my point. Is who we playing? Illinois? That's your gold medal game so far. And look, it's early, so I get it. It's not their fault. Let's see. At Black Tower Radio on Twitter, 3517 doesn't tell me who wins, but I gotta assume it's Syracuse, so I'll just go ahead and assume. At D Cags, 38-10 Syracuse. Orange are going to come out strong after Saturday's overall poor performance on offense, and with our previous insiders, the defense will get shredded. UVA is still establishing who they are under new leadership. Yeah, it's good. And by the way, if you guys put your score with who wins and a reason why, that's freaking excellent. I love that.
It's getting red.
Yeah, I'm going to that for sure. At No Blanchard 44, 38-14 Orange. Orange by 1,000,000 at P. What the hell is this? Picasso PR. Let's see. At Angular 18-10, 31-16 Syracuse. Big day for underachieving Sean Tucker. Our buddy Tim at Tim Abbott 44, 37-17 Orange. And here's another one to wrap up Twitter here. Actually, let's do two more to wrap up Twitter. Let's do at Lenny PD, Syracuse 35-21. Tucker isn't pleased, so it should be fun. I hope he has a great game no matter the score. If he has a good game, it's going to be tough to pull that off. So, Mr. Man, why has everybody got to do this? Mr. C. Bio Teacher. Okay, got it. 34-17, Syracuse. Schrader rushes for 2 touchdowns, connects with Tucker once and Alfred once. Wow, we're getting specific here. 1 touchdown from defense on a pick. Another pick 6 he's predicting. Tucker gets 100 yards to get back to pleased status. Schrader gets 60-plus rushing yards. Williams gets 2 sacks. Michael gets 1. Wax Jr. gets the pick. Okay. Wow, that's a lot. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wish I had that kind of bio teacher when I was a kid. All right, let's switch over to Facebook. If I can get into this.
Jay, look,
go ahead.
To the point, though, I mean, I can understand why Virginia's, their fans are talking about their defense because after 3 games, you can only go by what you see, right? And even with Illinois.
That's why I don't blame them. Yeah.
They had a muffed punt that ended up landing in the end zone and they jumped on it, right? So realistically, they haven't had an offense score over 17 points over them. But again, then we have to look at the offense. And then another point that I wanted to kind of bring up was that I know that everyone, underachieving Tucker, this and that. I mean, I don't think that people understand to what lengths these defenses are going to stop Sean Tucker. I mean, we talked about it on Sunday, so I'm not going to get into, everything about it. But these defenses are trying to stop Sean Tucker, which is allowing Garrett Schrader to have the games that he's having. Purdue was a really, really good team. Schrader was kind of out of it. There were some things going on in the week. I don't know if there was a sickness or if there was something personal going on, but he ended up figuring it out. And to be perfectly honest with you, I mean, early in the season, playing against some of these teams, the more that they're going to take Sean Tucker away, I feel like, number one, the more they're just going to piss Sean Tucker off for, the rest of the season, because he's going to want to get his. But also, I mean, you're allowing this offense to get practice with basically you're making Schrader beat you with his legs and his arm. And he's doing it with his legs, but he's also doing it with his arm. And the more that he's forced to do that, then the better we're going to get in that situation. So if these teams want to do this early, all it's really doing is it's helping our passing situation on offense. You know what I mean? So that's only really going to help later on in the season, because if the passing game of the offense gets to the point where now the defense has to, okay, we can't just let Schrader throw. Now that's going to open things back up for Sean Tucker, and he's going to be all pissed off because he isn't putting up the numbers that was expected. So then he's going to go off. And I think realistically, some of these teams, especially now in hindsight, seeing that we're 3-0, are kind of doing us a favor to kind of help our offense out for the rest of the season.
Going to Facebook, which I'm still banned from right now, and I'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow. My ban will be lifted by the time I wake up in the morning. Happens sometime in my sleep. Jack, 40-0. Doesn't tell me who wins.
It's like magic.
I know. Jack, 40-0. Doesn't tell me who wins, but I got to assume it's Syracuse, right? Jim, 43-24, Cuse. David, 31-21, Syracuse. Let's see. Is there any good ones in here? Let's find someone familiar here at least. Jason, 35, UVA 17. Pam, 42-10, Syracuse. Got some blowouts in here. Corey McDonald, 42-13, Syracuse. Our buddy Zach, top fan Zach, on Facebook, 28-17, Syracuse. Nadal, another top fan on Facebook, 20-14, Cuse. Joshua, your score's ridiculous. I'm not even going to read it. Alex, 31-13, Cuse. Alex caught himself. He put 31-13. I was about to bust his chops, but he added a comment and said Cuse, that is. So he's got Cuse winning that.
No, he listens.
There we go. He's playing by the rules. Thank you, Alex. Let's see. Robert, top fan Robert on Facebook. 48-14, Syracuse. I wish.
See, some of these 40 scores, I mean, don't get it twisted. I mean, our defense, the mob, they're all over the place. And if they start getting some big turnovers and scoring opportunities. You started to see it a little bit, against Connecticut when you had the muff punt that Mikel Jones wanted to return, but obviously the rules. And then, Marlo Wax being, a second away from being able to get a strip sack fumble for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm. He was 2 inches, 2 inches,
right.
An inch.
And then last week getting that damn pick six, they're chomping at the bit. And, if this defense can create some stuff like that, then I can see a situation where we're in the 40s, without a doubt.
Yeah. And I kind of feel like my score could be high, but
But again, Virginia hasn't played an offense like us.
I know, that's the thing. And like
if we truly do have the insider info, and things could be made easy. And I just don't. Easier, I should say. Nothing's easy when it comes to football, but I don't think it's too high.
Yours a little low. 34-24 seems, low. Watch you nail it, but I guess when you add it up, it's about the same because I got 38-17. I just don't have UVA putting up 24 on us. I just don't see it.
No, but again, some of those receivers and that quarterback that scare me a little bit. And, going against a new, the coaches are going to know, obviously, strengths and weaknesses, but it's a new offense. So, and again, like I said, what if a couple things click? What if they get a couple big plays like they did Charlie Jones, corner falls down, something like that. So I'm kind of playing it safe because I'm not trying to get too pumped up because
it's too late.
This stuff happens.
I know, it's too late for me. It's too late.
Well, I'm still picking a win. It's just sometimes, it's just you don't win every game in blowout fashion when sometimes maybe you should. So
true. I get it. All right. Well, look, Joe and I, if we both can't. So look, here's the deal. Might as well just say this now because I won't be on Twitter because Joe doesn't even know this, I don't think. I won't be on Twitter during the game because I won't be live. I won't even be close to live. I probably won't even start that game until it's over. So I've got a concert to go to that was planned before the schedule even came out. And it's my cousin's daughter's birthday, and my family and his family, he's coming into town for it, and we're all going to take her to Zach Brown. It's a surprise for her. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, it should be fun. But had I known the schedule beforehand, we could have planned something else. So
it's true.
I would have passed on the concert. So, anyways,
are you you plan on watching it when you get home?
I'm gonna watch it. Yes, when I get home. I'm probably already gonna be tanked when I get here.
Lord.
But maybe not though, because I think beer at the Virginia Beach Amphitheater is like
$13 a beer.
It's expensive, dude. They give you the big Corona can, the big 24-ounce cans. I think they're like only like $12 a piece. It's not terrible. But my work has a box and it's VIP. But all you get is a waitress and a good spot to sit without people bumping into you. That's what it is, which is
that's better.
Very generous of my boss. The owner of the company is an amazing dude. So
now, are you going to go radio silent so you don't know the outcome?
I have to. That's my point. So what Joe's going to do is he's going to have to text me, text me probably. Game's over. That'll prompt me to put the tweet out for your thoughts. But I'm going to miss all the fun on Twitter, and it really pains me. Not really, but it is fun to be on Twitter during the game sometimes. It kind of is. I'm not going to lie. But that's the only time. So, anyways, I'm going to be behind. The other thing I was getting at before I remembered that was that we're going to come up with the trivia questions, and then we will, we'll work on maybe doing trivia a week from today on the next preview show for Wagner. So by then I should have them all ready, and if we get in the green room and we want to have a little fun, we can do that.
There it is. I warned you.
So you were going to set the garage up for your little podcast studio.
I mean, that was kind of the thought before I moved in.
And realized how loud it was. But look, you could still do it. You just need to get rid of the oak tree.
I mean, when it's sprinkling, it sounds like it's pouring out. So.
Oh, true that. Yeah, that's true.
And when the cans close, when I got the garage door closed, there's no
signal.
service. So I got to run some Cat 6 out here and figure it out. But either way, it doesn't take care of the noise, for sure.
True. All right. I think that's going to be it. I think that's going to be it for us, Joe. It was fun. It was real. It just wasn't real fun.
I knew you were
okay. That's cheesy. Sorry. All right. Well, look, we are going to be back here Sunday. Don't spoil it to me. No text messages, please. Please. I will be watching the game Saturday night when I get back. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace.